I swear I had no idea. Oh,
Oops.
oh.
That I was going to zoom.
Yep. I had no idea that we were going to see this movie, but I find it appropriate that I'm wearing this shirt. Yeah.
Patriotic, man.
Yep.
This is kind of appropriate, too. Through about every joke in this movie, I was sitting there going, I don't think so, too. When I first saw the title of this movie, this is a Netflix original animated movie, and sometimes I get screeners from Netflix, and so I sent out for a few. I sent out for that Fear Street movie. I think the Liam Neeson movie that already came out like a day after I sent for it. But the ones I sent for, I didn't hear back from, except for this. They sent me America the Motion Picture fairly quickly, too. Like, oh, thank God someone's asking for it. Here's America the Motion Picture. And it's got an embargo on it for the day that it comes on Netflix, so that way you know it's going to be good. I saw that when I first saw the title, America the Motion Picture, my first thought was like, ooh, is this going to be Dinesh D'Souza's new movie?
Right.
I wish it was.
Me too. That would have at least been fun to pick apart.
It would have been unintentionally hilarious. Absolutely. What this movie is, it's an animated farce in which George Washington and Abraham Lincoln are best bros, but Abraham Lincoln is killed by werewolf Benedict Arnold before he can see through his dream of starting the American Revolution and uniting all the colonies and defeating the British. Therefore, George Washington must pick up where Abraham Lincoln left off and form the Constitution and the United States of America.
And that's just the first 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, because the rest of it has to do with a plot from the British using giant tea bags. Using giant tea bags so that way a character can be on the ground to say, like, oh, they're teabagging us. They're using giant tea bags hanging from a weather balloon that rains poison tea on the colonists to turn them all British. You know what? Within the first 5 minutes of this movie, I had this thought in my head, and it pretty much carried throughout the rest of it, which is, this would have been fine as a pilot for an animated series.
Yeah.
Not that I would have watched it beyond the pilot.
Right.
But there's material here for about 20 minutes of a pitch for an animated series.
Yeah.
But it's a full-length freaking movie that gets old fast.
Really fast.
Wears thin fast.
Really fast.
The joke of the movie is that it's in the 1700s, but they're all talking super modern. It's one of those movies where the humor is derived from, they're like, super talking like this. Like, I think we should form the Declaration of Independence, guys.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. Declaration of fucking Independence.
Yeah, bro.
It's like it's written by someone who, I don't know, grew up in the Bible Belt, finally made it to college, is trying to fit in by just dropping the F-bomb awkwardly into every other word and trying to talk all frat boy-like to seem cool, even though they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, and all of their references are dated.
Right. I mean, I just thought this was just written by a bunch of frat bros. I mean, there's every single character on here was just this, like, Samuel Adams was mostly represented the whole frat bro thing, but even George Washington and just all of them were just very, very frat bros.
Because they're all like the same writer's voice, you know what I mean? They all kind of talk the same. Their humor is the same kind of jokes, the same kind of references, the same kinds of inflections. I mean, this movie has Lord and Miller attached to it and is from producers on Archer and you'll see it on the poster that there's names of pretty decent stuff that some of these people are attached to.
Yeah.
But what this comes across as is like someone's a huge fan of the show Drunk History.
Right.
And they're
Yeah.
like, I can get drunk. I took a history class once. I can do this. This is like Drunk History if someone should have passed out 2 hours ago. But drinking only makes them stronger and only makes them more obnoxious. And the further along they get, the more dated their references are. Because there's a part in this movie where Samuel Adams says, well, guys, I think it's mission accomplished. I think we should hang a big banner in the background.
Right.
When was this written? 15 years ago?
Yeah.
And it's one of those where it's the 1700s, but time doesn't exist, yet it does. Like, if you're old, you all lived in the same time period, whether you're Abraham Lincoln or George Washington. But also they're saying things like, oh, me and Abraham Lincoln are bros. We went to a Kid Rock concert together.
Right, yeah.
And then...
and the national anthem is, for some reason, Freebird.
Yeah. It's memesploitation.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Okay, yeah.
That's totally what it is. There's a part where they get on, like, the horse and buggy, and the back of it says, keep calm and bugger off.
Yeah.
But also the driver of the horse and buggy is Benedict Arnold is on there, and he says, like, transporter, take me away. And it's like drawn to look like Jason Statham. Yeah. And so much of the humor just feels lazy. And what I mean by lazy is they go to a bar at one point in which there's a bunch of British standing outside of it, and the joke is just that all the British are standing there saying, hello, governor, hello, governor, hello, governor, hello, governor.
That's literally all they know about the British, is that they just say, hello, governor.
Hello, governor, hello, governor. It's like someone comes up to you and says, I do a really good Reagan impression, and they go, let's hear it. And all they do is just go, well.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Yeah. And the name of the bar is Vietnam.
Because
you and I, and you looked at me and said, why is it called Vietnam? And I looked at you, dude, I was wondering the same thing. I didn't want to, like, say, like, why is it called Vietnam? And you'd be like, you don't know. But then, like, an hour later, Geronimo has his arm cut off from a fight in that bar, and then he says, like, I lost my arm in Vietnam. And the other
did he really?
Yeah,
I didn't even hear that.
The other person goes like, but I thought we won that war or something. And I'm going, is this why? So this reference, it's like an hour later into the movie? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something really subtle and ingenious right there.
No, it's not at all subtle, and it's not at all ingenious. I really do think that was the setup, and I totally missed that punchline.
Yeah, but like,
I'm glad I missed that punchline.
But thank God though, like to know that they're very hip when Martha Washington finds out she's pregnant, she says #blessed. So we know this is written by really hip people. Memesploitation, bro. When you put hashtag into the dialogue in something set in this era, I'm trying to think of what could have even saved this other than it being 20 minutes long, because when I was watching it, especially when the Titanic shows up in the movie.
God, yeah.
When the Titanic shows up in it, when that happened, this really reminded me of that Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, Holmes and Watson movie that also had the Titanic in it.
Okay, yeah.
And that movie was terrible. But
you know, honestly, I think the problem is, and I don't know. I don't want to be the guy that like tries to defend this by saying like, it just wasn't for us or something like that. But I will say that I think the type of people that love the Hangover movies will love this movie.
I like the first Hangover movie, but the Hangover movie, the sequels, I thought blew ass.
Right.
The first Hangover movie, I don't know, like at least whether you found it funny or not, you know, that's up to whoever's watching it. I mean, same with this, but like at least with the Hangover, there were jokes.
Yeah.
There were jokes, and in this, all it was is just the founding fathers are talking like an 18-year-old on Twitter,
Right.
and dropping the F-bomb every other word.
Right.
And that's the joke for 98 minutes.
Right.
And it gets tiresome. After 10 minutes, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting because it doesn't go anywhere beyond the types of jokes that it throws at you in the first part of it. And when I was watching it, I said, you know what is like one thing that maybe could have turned this around is if instead of Channing Tatum as George Washington, if it were Patrick Warburton. I mean, for me anyway, he's one of those guys who can make me laugh just from the sound of his voice. And there's things that I've seen him in that's not very good like this.
Okay.
But there is something about his voice that can make me laugh. And it's not like his voice wouldn't fit how George Washington looks in this movie.
No.
Like, it goes right along with how Washington looks in it.
No, for
I don't
sure.
know.
For sure.
For
no.
me,
I can definitely see where you're coming from, but whether or not it would have saved this movie,
I'm not saying saved it from like the grade that I'm going to give it up to like an A or
Right.
even a B.
but it would have been improvement.
Yeah, like I didn't. There was a couple of times where I had like a minor chuckle in this.
Yeah.
One was the funeral of Abraham Lincoln when it pans across and Alexander Hamilton's there and he's drawn to look like Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh, okay.
I kind of laughed at that.
Yeah.
That was a quick little sight gag where I was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
I had a chuckle at they thought the definition of racist was somebody who was good at racing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's only because I made that same joke when I was in my 20s.
Yeah. And you probably also did it with a RoboCop reference like this movie. In this movie where the horse gets his head blown off and they turn him into RoboCop. I would give this movie, man, this felt long. But I thought the animation was good.
Yeah.
I was impressed by some of that, especially in the battle sequences. There was a lot of work that went into the animation part of the movie. So I'll give it that. And really for that alone, I'm going to be generous and give it a D+. But this was not an easy movie to sit through. Dear God, was Black Easter way easier to sit through than this.
So this was poorly written. I'll agree with you on that. But I'll also agree with you that at least it was aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
And it was, and because of that, I don't know. I guess I do think I enjoyed myself in this a little bit better than Black Easter.
Oh, did you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Just slightly.
Sure.
Slightly. So yeah, D+.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the first part of it, I was like, it is going to be hard for this to go past a D, and it never does.
Yeah.
It never does. You might as well just, I don't know, skip this and just put on an episode of Clone High or something, because that's what this seems like. It's like, what if Clone High was actually in the 1700s? That is America the Motion Picture. Out now on Netflix. Take care.